Hi everybody, I'm Phil Fatica and welcome to the Millcreek Government Channel, and today the show literally has gone to the dogs because we have very special guests with us today. Sitting on my left, your right, is Sandy Globa. Sandy is with the Canine Companions for Independence, and she has, I don't know if you can see, her buddy is, if we take a shot of that, can we see that? Maybe not yet, but we will, and I think Bill's going to maybe move the camera. Well, his name is?
Jedrick.
Jedrick, and he is a what kind of dog?
He is a Labrador Retriever who is 11 months old, and he is in training.
And very handsome, as you can see by what he looks like right there.
Yes.
So we'll get back to that training thing in just a moment. Also joining us on my left, your right, is Jane Beyer, and Jane has a facility dog named?
Kimmy.
And what is the difference between what you do and what Sandy does? And Kimmy's right over there too.
I'm the lucky person who reaps the benefits of all the hard work that Sandy and Jim do as puppy raisers.
Okay.
I went to training to get Kimmy for 2 weeks to learn all of her commands and learn how to handle her, and then came back to Erie, and now I work at the Achievement Center, and I use Kimmy working with autistic children, emotionally disturbed children, long list, and we have a lot of fun.
Yes, I imagine. Let's start with you, as long as we're over there and we have all the props over here. We'll get back to you, don't worry. Jedrick, you just chill out, he is. He's got his head on the floor and he's going to catch some Z's. Jane, you supply a dog, your pet, actually?
No.
No, it's not.
No.
It is?
No, Canine Companions breeds all of their own dogs.
Okay. And you take him, or this a job, or start at zero?
Okay. The dogs are all bred in California.
Okay.
And at 8 weeks old, they are brought into the main facility in Santa Rosa, California, where they are checked out by the vet and then sent all over the country to wonderful people like Sandy and Jim, who have volunteered to be puppy raisers until the dog's about 15 months old.
And that's what you do now. This is on your own dime, I have to tell you.
That's right.
Yeah.
There are about 700 puppies born throughout the year, and there are about 1,400 puppy raisers throughout the United States.
You're a puppy raiser?
I am a puppy raiser.
Your husband also?
Yes.
Okay.
This is number 8 for us. So
you started having children when you were 7?
But we do keep the dogs for about 18 months, and we teach them basic commands, and what we do is we socialize them. We do have public access, allowing people, letting people know that we have a dog in training, and as long as the dog is very well behaved, 6 months of age, we start to take it out into public.
And I know that after that point in period of time, though, that you pass the dog off.
That's right.
Another step that the dog has to go through. We'll tease them with that. We'll come back to that. Okay. Jane, I've got stuff on the desk here that people can see, and this is a puzzle that almost any child has seen. And there is it's hard to see because it's lying flat, but there is a device here that would go around the dog that obviously indicates that the dog is doing something special. And then there's this wonderful device here that also goes around the dog. And on the top of it is this little device with a zipper. And this is pretty cool.
It is.
Why is the zipper on top of this that goes around the dog? How do you use that?
The entire vest is placed on Kimmy, and children are more apt to practice a skill like that when the dog is involved.
This would be at the Achievement Center, perhaps?
It could be at the Achievement Center. It could be in a home, or it could be in a school.
Also, we have to note this, that the zipper and also buttons.
Right.
How do you button something up that we would take for granted?
Right.
That could prove to be a very daunting task in some positions.
Absolutely.
Got to ask you both the inevitable question. How did you get interested in doing this? How did you get interested in doing this? We're over here with you. How did you get interested in doing this? You don't find a whole lot of people doing this, but they would like you to start doing it. That's why they're here today. They're asking you to say, I'd like to do that. How did you get interested?
I've worked at the Achievement Center I'm on my 15th year there.
Started when you were 4.
Yes, sure. And through that, I met Sandy and Jim, who volunteer at the Achievement Center, and they would bring their puppies they were raising to different activities at the Achievement Center. So I got to know all about canine companions. And at that point, my daughter was living in California and applied for a job at Canine Companions. So things just kind of evolved, and I applied for a facility dog, and it was about a 2-year process.
Yes, yeah.
The dogs come free of charge. It's a nonprofit organization, so the people that receive the dogs don't pay anything.
So you paid nothing? Is that true? And, and how did you get started?
Well, Jim and I have always had a love of dogs, and we just thought we had some family health issues with, you know, some of our family members, and we thought, wouldn't this be a good thing to have puppies to really interact with some of the family members? And as I said, Jim had always done some public training, and I have done public training, so we thought, wouldn't this be fun? So as a puppy raiser, we do pay for all of the vet bills, we pay for all of the food, and any training that we would, you know, perhaps that would happen. And then we've really enjoyed it, but as puppy raisers, we do take the dogs different places. Achievement Center is one of them.
Let's continue. After you've had the dog for a period of time, you take the dog back. You let your child go out into the world.
Right, right. We always like to say the dog goes off to college, just like you send your kids off to college. Well, what these dogs do is they actually go to an advanced training period, 6 to 9 months, with professional trainers. Canine Companions is a wonderful organization because they really provide these very well-trained, highly skilled dogs to people with disabilities just to enhance their life, and then have that follow-up also. They don't just give you a dog. We have good follow-up with the organization.
But the dog could maybe flunk out and not make the grade? Is that possible?
Well, Phil, we don't say flunk out. There are always things people want to do. But that would be a dog that would be released. And yes, Jim and I we've had 8 dogs. We have 2 dogs that have been released. We've kept those dogs, and those dogs make wonderful therapy dogs.
Before we started taping, Jim and Sandy were out in the lobby out here at QLM, and the dog is allowed to jump right up on the counter, which is part of the training of the dog. So when you say a companion dog, what do you mean? What is the dog trained to do? Go to a counter, open it up, take out a can of soup? Or, you know.
Right, right. Dogs turn off and on light switches. They pull wheelchairs. They open doors. They perhaps can give money to someone in a store when someone in a wheelchair or with a disability is there to pay. We not only have facility dogs, but we do service dogs, which would mean that if someone had a disability that would still allow them to work, they could take their dog with them to work. And it would be right there at their side, assisting them with daily things to help give them independence. Now, we also have hearing dogs that are highly trained to help people with a hearing disability. And we also do a skilled companion, which would be someone with a very serious disability. They would perhaps have a parent or a handler that would care for the dog, but that dog would become their very, very best friend.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Is there a cost associated with this? I have to ask the obvious question.
Right. Well, this is a nonprofit organization, and you know that really depends on individual contributions. Charles Schultz, who has passed away, right, our Peanuts gallery here, but he and his wife have the main campus in Santa Rosa named after them because they are they've been wonderful contributors. And there is no charge for these dogs.
Okay, that's a great thing. I don't know if you noticed earlier, but the dogs are wearing a different color. Kimmy's wearing blue. Yes. Does that signify anything? I mean, does that send a signal to the public to what?
She's a graduated dog, and she's we're a team.
Okay.
And
she lives with you?
She lives with me. She's not my dog. and she's not our pet. She is a service dog. We take very, very good care of her.
Absolutely.
And Canine Companions is in contact with us on a regular basis. They follow up. They make sure that she's checked by the vet. We have all sorts of paperwork. And the reason that she does not become my dog is because if I would ever do anything that was not appropriate for her, they could take her back.
Okay, okay.
So.
This fascinates me. We've all seen this. When you grow up, you put the shapes together. And can Kimmy do this?
Kimmy has a command. The dogs are taught 40 commands, and one of her commands is get. So she will, because it has these large knobs on it, she can pick up, if I put the shapes on the floor, she will pick it up and give it to a child. So again, it's a way of making something that's difficult for a child more fun.
Oh, absolutely. It's just wonderful. Now, my curiosity is really piqued on this one. This is definitely a what?
This is called a Big Mac button, and we refer to this as our Kimmy question, but I can't remember what's recorded on this. But the kids always know when we go into a classroom that there's a Kimmy question. And Kimmy, the dogs are also taught the push command. So this is placed on the floor. She pushes this with her nose.
Do you like cats?
Do you like cats? And how would she respond, or how would
the children
child
then
respond?
we do a lot with language. So we're trying to, some children, all they can respond with is a yes or a no, either in sign or verbally or on an assistive tech device. And then there are other children who can take it further. You know, they can verbally say yes, and then you say, oh, well, do you have a cat? So you expand the language even more.
One more.
Do you like cats?
Same one.
Yes.
Same one.
We haven't gotten the one that has, you can record someday.
Come back to you in just a moment. Beside the Achievement Center, do you go anyplace else?
Yes. We go to Gliding Stars, which is an adaptive ice skating program that's held at Mercyhurst. We go to the therapeutic riding program.
Trek.
Trek, yes. And the Achievement Center runs an adaptive baseball program that we're a part of. Kimmy's a great outfielder. She doesn't always want to give the ball back, but she's a good outfielder.
When we're taping this, the Indians can use some help. Cleveland Indians, they're not playing well this early season. This is amazingly fantastic to me, and I know that you need to tell people how they can get involved. Is there a place where you can write? Is there any information you can receive? It's all yours. Who wants to start first? Sandy, I think we'll start first because I have the brochure here that's called Canine Companions for Independence. A lot of information in a very simple bifold little thing.
Right.
All yours.
Right. Well, we have a website, cci.org, and you can just visit that website. You can click on any of the, sites for either being a puppy raiser or filling out an application to get a dog, or perhaps donating, and any of these things you can do through the website.
Okay. And Jane, come back to you. It's best to go through Sandy first.
I would think so.
But is there any way they could contact you to say, I'd like what she does, but I want to do what you do?
Okay.
How do they get to that level?
Well, I think, first of all, they have to have a group that they would be able to work with. Either there are people who are facility dogs that are occupational therapists, physical therapists, speech therapists, people who work in court programs. When I went through training with Kimmy, there was a woman who worked in a court system who was going to have the dog to work with children as they came in to have to testify to help them calm down.
Is there any one particular breed that seems to lend itself to doing this better than others, or it's just been your experience that it's the labs that seem to?
Well, what we
they
do,
know they work.
Yeah, Canine Companion uses Labrador Retrievers and Golden Retrievers. Right, but we also have a wonderful Wounded Warrior project. So, the veterans are being really a push towards helping them, whether it's a loss of limb or it's PTSD. these dogs are available to them. What we should let people know, though, is that there probably is a 2-year waiting list.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
It's only because there are so many dogs, and really, not all of the dogs are successful.
Yes.
We have those release dogs.
Didn't mean to say flunk. They're released. Yeah. The pictures behind are hard to see, I know, but there's many, many examples of what we're talking about here. And then, of course, their classic logo behind, I think you can probably see that. It says Canine Companions for Independence. Is there any next step here, or do you just continue doing what you've been doing? Because everything that you do is so much appreciated and so valued. I mean, it ain't broke, so there's no need to fix it. It's what you do, and you like it.
Well, Canine Companions really does. They have a good follow-through.
Okay.
And then we should let people know that once they are ready to retire, that those dogs can retire in the home that they have been placed in.
Oh, really?
If that works for them. But if it doesn't work for them, we actually have a list of people who would love to adopt either some of the released dogs or some of the retired dogs.
As we're taping this, in the news as of late has been an abuse of an animal, a dog, and horrible. It attracted all kinds of attention, and you just go, how could somebody possibly do that to a domesticated animal? So my question is, either one, do you have to vet the people to say, well, you got a record of not treating pets well? Is that they have to go through that process? Because you're handing off a rather expensive, well-trained dog.
Yes, these are valuable dogs, and they are very well trained. Puppy raisers fill out a 6-page application to be a volunteer.
More pages than when you get married.
And as I said, CCI really does do that follow-up and make sure that those dogs are well cared for. I think in all of the time that Jim and I have been involved, say over 10 years, we've only heard of one time where a dog has been taken from a family or a person.
Okay. Jane, when you're not doing this, what do you do? Is this it? Because I know that this is very much part of what they do here. Is this very much a large chunk of your daily life? Weekly life?
Yes,
monthly
not
life?
as much as I would like it to be.
You want more?
I would love more. I would love more. I'm a behavior specialist at the Achievement Center.
Okay.
And I do have a regular caseload of children and families that I work with. I only use Kimmy if it's an appropriate situation with those children, and if there's an opportunity to use her skills to work on the child's goals.
Okay.
But we have a contract with Millcreek School District.
Okay, that too.
And so we go into the schools and the classrooms, as I said, all the autistic support classrooms, emotional support, and life skills classrooms.
What is it about, I guess, the dogs that makes them so approachable? I mean, before we started taping, everybody here wants to come in and pet them and say hello, hello, hello. And Sandy was going, now, if they were doing this, you wouldn't be allowed to do that because they shouldn't be doing that. But given that, why is it that these dogs are so amenable to what it is you do? What is it about that pet thing? I don't know. I've heard of some dogs that can sniff out diabetes.
Right.
You know, that's amazing, sniffing out diabetes. My goodness. Go ahead.
Well, the breeding program at Canine Companions, they are looking for dogs that are doing the best job. And so they do quite a job of tracking which dogs come from what litters that are doing the best job. It's quite an extensive breeding process.
I guess
so. And they're also doing brain scans of the dogs now in MRIs to see how their brains are different, the dogs that are such good service dogs.
Amazing. Amazing. Oh my goodness. Sandy, go ahead, hop in anytime.
Well, you know, I just want to say that as puppies, these dogs do need to be around children. They need to be around, you know, children with disabilities. So we do volunteer at the Achievement Center and take the dogs there. We've got 4 dogs that we actually take. But the dogs are wonderful. They really are, as puppy raisers, we do a lot of things with them to make them approachable by adults and children. But I should say to everyone here that if a dog does have a vest on, that you really do need to ask the person who has that dog whether or not you can approach it and pet it.
Yeah, it's good advice, because the first part is to lunge in and say hello and rub their ears and the tops of their heads and everything like that. Let's go over here to these dogs. They're just out of control, as you can see. They're bouncing all over the studio. They are just about ready to take a long afternoon nap, I think. But that's purposeful.
Yes.
That's purposeful. This is what you do to make sure that they become that great companion dog, that great dog that works with autistic children. Do you actually train them for specific things that you deal with at the Achievement Center? Or, you're nodding right there, I stopped my question. What is it? I mean,
yes, well, I take the 40 amazing skills that they're trained to have, and then look at what I need to work with a child and how can I adapt that. So I have endless number of different things that we do, and Kim's met the challenge every time.
It is documented medically that this works. I mean, there's data to support all this. There's studies, there's research.
I'm not sure that there's scientific research, but I can tell you that the majority of the autistic support teachers that I work with just exclaim at the difference that they've seen over the year with their children. And to go back to a lot of the kids that I work with, I have several clients that are scared to death of dogs. And I started 3 years ago when I got Kimmy with a young man who I couldn't be within 40 feet of if I had the dog with me without him screaming. He now feeds her baby carrots. So it was a process for him learning that it was okay. And we work with different children in the classrooms that will be the issue.
That's just amazing.
And I guess I'd like to point out that one of the young women who has one of our dogs, she calls him Prince Dash. She's a lovely young lady with muscular dystrophy, and she has a trach and also a halo on her wheelchair to hold her head up. But she said whenever she would go anywhere in public before she had the dog, that no one was, they were afraid to approach her. And just,
fragile.
I mean, fragile. And she is a brilliant woman. I mean, working part-time. Now that she has the dog, people pay more attention to the dog, and they're not afraid of her as you would, suspect. And they love to talk to her about the dog. And, her hesitation was that, oh my goodness, this dog is going to be so much work for me. But really, it has just become the love of her life.
How can you give the dog back? I don't know how you could do that. I mean, we've been pet lovers forever, and when the pet passes away, we cry and go, we're not doing this again. There's too much sorrow associated with this. How can you be so strong as to give Jedrick away?
Well,
and not see him again?
Our first dog, I used to say to myself when we first got that first dog, this dog is not mine. This dog is not mine. But I'll tell you, and just being with it, going through training that dog and knowing then and meeting those wonderful people who get the dog, it is,
so you've had that
it's so
opportunity.
rewarding. Yes, and we have the great opportunity. We have become friends with probably 3 or 4 of our families who have teamed up with our dogs, and it is just amazing. I've really
satisfying.
Very satisfying.
I know that you're satisfied. I can see you light up. Your unspoken language, your body language, your eyes glisten and glow, and being a behavioral specialist as you are. Is that correct?
Yes, yes.
That would be just, you can just put a stamp of approval on the fact that Kimmy's doing just a great job.
Well, and I'll add that Kimmy's puppy raiser, who lives in California, we stay in constant contact. We text. I send her pictures and videos and things. So it's a wonderful relationship.
Together, then we can do this on a 3-shot, so we don't drive the guys nuts with the cameras here. you would encourage people to do this, but they have to be cut from a certain mold. Your husband Jim's behind the camera there, and I know Jim for years, and you're cut in the right molds. You're cut in the right mold. What does it take to do this? I mean, tell them. Yes, you can do this, but you can speak in stereo if you want. I don't care. Who's older? The oldest one goes first. That would be me. Okay, so I'm choosing you.
Well, you know, it's just, I've always had a love of dogs.
Okay.
And just to see what they do and how they perform and react to you, and to see the wonderful things that Jane does with, you know, her children and the students that she works with, it's very satisfying. I can, you know, get a dog, turn a dog in, see where that dog goes, and then sometimes I'll say to Jim, don't you think it's time for another puppy?
Okay. So you got to be selfless, not selfish, selfless. Advice to the people watching.
I think
you're on that one right there.
I get so much more back than I put into it. I can't imagine somebody not being just thrilled to. This is such a gift to be able to have Kimmy and work with her and be able to brighten children's lives. It's a very special thing. So
I have to add too. I take the dogs, sometimes 2 of them, sometimes 4 of them, to Brevalier Village, and if I go there without the dogs, people will say, "Where's the dog?
Where's the dog?
How come you didn't bring the dog?"
Both ends of the spectrum here. I know that having a relationship in certain skilled nursing facilities, that the pets being brought in, it was just a whole different attitude people had. They just came to life. Yeah. Again, information is available. There's a great pamphlet, and it's called Canine Companions for Independence. Got about a minute left or so. Tell them how they do that.
All right. I would say visit the cci.org, and you can, you know, very easily click on any of the areas that you would be interested in. And it's a wonderful visit too, because you see so many things. And even on YouTube, there's a lot of wonderful stories.
Yeah. Jane, you got the last word.
Well, I encourage anyone who knows anyone who could benefit from a dog from Canine Companions to go to the website. It's a great website. It's easily navigated. And it is a long wait, but it's very, very worth it.
It is very worth it.
And we would be happy to help anyone who was going to go down that road.
Well said, well said. You can always, if you can't contact them, you can contact me right here at WQLN. I'm Phil Fatiga for Jane Beyer and for Sandy Globa and Canine Companions for Dogs. Thanks for being with us. This has been a very special show. Tell your friends about it, because this one is the one they don't want to miss. Until next time, take care.
You're watching the Millcreek Government Channel, powered by WQLN Public Media.